Ah, the sweet, delicious scent of Schadenfreude in the morning. As Gizmodo and Kotaku staff are furious after owners announce move to AI content. I guess the Games Journal should have learned how to code after all, before the code learned to Games Journal. Although to be fair, one out of the two is infinitely more complex, creative and difficult than the other. God, this is going to be such a effing nightmare. Oh, I don't know about that, sir. I imagine, in fact, that this could be quite the dream come true for the majority of us. The steady march of AI in journalism continues, though the outcome, both the health of the information ecosystem and the financial well-being of publishers that embrace it, remain as hazy as ever. I don't know about that. In fact, I find it difficult to imagine a scenario in which adapting AI writers into a, well, pure writing style and market like gaming's journalism in the current year could possibly prove financially disadvantageous, honestly. Because here's the thing, the AI can pump out 1,000 bland, banal, uninteresting top 10 tier lists, which is the primary mode of employment for games journalists. Like, the entire field of gaming journalism is defined by plagiarism. Unironically, it is. Any monkey, any paraplegic goldfish can create a top 10 list or a rough guide. Okay, here's the thing. So there was a mention in an article a while ago from The Gamer, was it? That basically said that one of the key sources of revenue for the site was guides. It was, how do you find the blah 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 mace in blah 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 video game? Or how do you fix the puzzle over there? Or how do you get like the romance option that you want? Whatever. It's just like, how do I do this thing in the video game I'm playing? That was the majority of the income. Well, everyone is doing this, and the vast majority of the guides are, well, the same goddamn guide repeated ad infinitum. An AI could do this no problems whatsoever. It could do it faster and probably more accurate and better than most humans could do it, and it could do it for free, or essentially free anyways. G/O Media, a major online media company that runs publications including Gizmodo, Kotaku, Quartz, Jezebel, and Deadspin, has announced that it will begin a modest test of AI content on its sites, probably in a quest to heighten the quality of the content on these otherwise complete and utter hot garbage websites. I mean, after all, when you're at the very bottom, there is no way to go but up. The company joins a growing number of media entities experimenting with the technology, including Red Venture, Bankrata, CNET, Esmengel, and BuzzFeed. So they mention here that these trials have already been led to a flood of error-laden, plagiarized, and poorly written content. That sounds like just modern game journalism in a nutshell, honestly. Error-laden? Well, that's just mainstream media currently. Plagiarized? Again, that's pretty much gaming journalism by definition. And poorly written? My God, please don't make me hurt you any further. In an email to staff, G/O Media editorial director Meryl Brown argued that the news shouldn't come as a surprise since everyone in the media business has been considering AI. That's the thing too. If everybody is looking at this bot and going, yeah, that's just as good as what we have right now, that means there's a very large problem with your business. If you can easily, effortlessly, to the point where everyone sees it, be replaced by a script, your job's not that hard. Nor are you very good at it. The trial will include producing just a handful of stories for most of our sites that are basically built around lists and data. Brown wrote, these features aren't replacing work currently being done by writers and editors. Really? Are you saying that you can create content that weren't previously created via the AI? Well, that makes the actual people's jobs sound even less safe. And we hope that over time, if we get these forms of content right and produced at scale, that is the important thing, at scale, as these companies too are now seeking to hammer the algorithm with everything they've got, AI will, via search and promotion, help us grow our audience, because Again, right now the main issue for most of these mainstream gaming media sites is that they're just not very popular. And even with the massive advantages they have in algorithm, they are competing against each other. They are eating one another whilst competing over a very small pool of users that either don't know what absolute scumbags they are or don't care. And there aren't many of them, which means that if one gets ahead of the other, it comes at the expense of everybody else. If one site gets a guide, for example, that gets more click than the other, that will come at the direct expense at all of the other ones, because they are not creating repeat content. When I make a lore video, for example, those will continue to get views for years and years down the line because it is creative and interesting content. But a guide list? You look that up once to figure out the stupid puzzle in the video game you're playing, and then you sail on. The idea of actually staying on that website never even occurs to you. Despite these half-hearted assurances, the announcement came to the horror of many journalists at Geo. Good. Union representing Geo Media and The Onion staff issued a statement writing that we're appalled by this news. The Onion, it used to be good. The hard work of journalists cannot be replaced by unreliable AI programs notorious for creating falsehood and plagiarizing the works of real writers. Can't it? Oh, damn. Well, that's a fine argument. But you know, you're a creative human being of flesh and blood. Your work is far too good to be replaced by a measly AI. Except, is it? Let's put that to the test, shall we? So, well, the classic. Rank me a top 10 list of the best Final Fantasy characters in the style of a modern gaming website. Let's see if it can get something. Final Fantasy has captivated gamers for decades, creating unforgettable worlds and characters that have left an indelible mark on the gaming industry. From brave heroes to complex villains, these characters have become icons in the realms of RPGs. It did forget the JR there, I will say. Join us as we celebrate the greatest characters to ever grace the world of Final Fantasy. Here are the top 10 unforgettable Final Fantasy characters of all time. Yep. That sounds pretty much like it. Let's see here. Lightning. Yep, that's a modern... Lightning in the top 3. That is a modern gaming website if I've ever seen it. Is Tifa even on the... 5? Okay. You know, that's better than I would have expected. I would have thought she would either be left off it completely or, Squall, there we go. Really? Tifa number 5 and Cloud number 9? Really? We're skipping all over this one, are we? Well, again, it is certainly a modern-day gaming article, as in reality, well, Tifa should be number 1, for obvious reasons, and Cloud can be number 2, and then we can talk about the rest of them. These unforgettable characters have shaped the Final Fantasy series and left a lasting impact on gamers around the world. Whether they were heroes or villains, their journeys, personalities, and remarkable stories have etched their names into gaming history. Yep, that sounds like a top 10 list, and it took about 3 seconds to generate it. And you could just go through this, literally. You could go through every franchise. One person could make probably hundreds of these lists in a day. Your only real limiting factor will be the number of franchises and the minutiae that you go into. You could simply just go, top 10 Final Fantasy, top 10 recent games whose topic was communism, or topics was capitalism, or the top 10 hottest male characters. Can't have females, of course, for obvious reasons. ChatGPT, a free tool, is capable of doing this like that, with no issues whatsoever. Can you imagine what a tool actually specifically created to serve that franchise could do? It could do far better. Gizmodo and Kotaku staff in particular were outraged at the news. AI content will not replace my work. I don't know about that. But it will devalue it. Correct, it will do that. Place undue burden on editors, destroy the credibility of my outlet. Gizmodo and Kotaku. Oh, don't worry, you have done a fine job of doing that all by yourself. I don't think the AI is going to be contributing noteworthily to that particular goal. Which we thank you for doing, by the way. And further frustrate our audience. Further frustrate. At least he's self-aware, if nothing else. Gizmodo journalist Lynn Concha tweeted in response to the news, AI in any form only undermines our mission, demoralizes our reporters, and degrades our audience's trust. Yes, and that is exactly what we're all hoping for. This sucks, tweeted Kotaku writer Zach Sweezen. Please retweet and yell at Geo Media about this. Thank you. God, there's going to be such a effing nightmare, wrote former Gizmodo staffer and internet sleuthing expert. I don't even know what that is, but I'm sure the AI could do a better job of writing about it. There are several reasons we shouldn't be surprised that yet another media conglomerate is falling for the lure of AI-generated content, even after its disastrous rollout elsewhere. Has it been all that disastrous? If it had, I doubt every single media company would be sniffing around at it right now. Geo Media in particular already has a less than stellar standing in the industry. The company has gone through its fair share of controversy over the last couple of years, including badly negotiated buyouts, continued layoffs, and mass resignations. Continued layoffs and mass resignations. It will go on to talk about here as well. This news comes after years of disinvestment into our newsrooms, increased demands on reporters and editors, and mass attrition of staff. So, the reason why these companies are looking at its gaming journalists and going, "You cost far more than you produce," is because you do. A gaming journalist is not a good investment in the slightest. Like BuzzFeed, for example, tried to do social media news, in other words, retweeting Twitter but on a different website, with, what was it, 100 employees? They tried to be the biggest and the best, and they couldn't because nobody was interested in hearing what was going on about Twitter, a site that they themselves had access to, weirdly enough. Your content is not that engaging. You don't have an audience the size of your worker pool. Like, again, look at YouTube. Look at this channel right here, for example. I am one person. I am producing videos to support myself and the slowly growing staff and a couple of other projects. But I am doing all of this by myself because that is my capacity. That is the amount of money I am capable of earning by myself on YouTube. These sites have continuously, like the buyouts mentioned, gone way over their actual budget. That 100 reporters can produce like maybe a few tens of thousands of dollars a month, and they will eat up hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in salaries, which is why they keep firing them, laying them off and kicking them out the door as quickly as possible, because they eat far more than they produce. In AI, on the other hand, you get 1 or 2 editors to basically sit there and brainstorm up subjects to feed into the AI. Then you pass that over to a basic checker who goes like, okay, is this true? Is this true? Yep, sure. You can take an entire newsroom of people, 100 people, and you could probably replace them with 5. Hell, how long until we get a bot that literally just does what the entire BuzzFeed newsroom did? Trolls social media. And then, as it finds something potentially noteworthy, it pings it, sends it over to the editor's room, who's like, is this interesting? Is it? In which case, he pings it over to the next guy, who's like, okay, there's a hunger strike in Arabia or something. Write me 100 words on the hunger strike in Arabia. Here's the source material, like series of links, and then he goes, copy. There you go. It will essentially be the exact same as the usual articles on this, covering the same topic, as they very rarely have anything new or particularly interesting to say. AI, and here's the thing, AI will eventually replace moi as well, without question, because at the end of the day, what AI does is it takes all the information available in the world and then packages into it a certain format. Now, that format can be very complex. It can be very difficult. You can, for example, have like ridiculous spurge offs. Just the other day, I had a hour-long spurge off on the ethics and morality of warfare. I was playing Alien Isolation. No, not Isolation. Dark Descent, that was the name of it. in my usual idiotic back and forth style, wandering myself into circles until I finally arrive at a solution. All you would really need to do is have an AI that is suitably complex watch enough of that to provide a relatively decent, well, facsimile of me. Now, of course, it couldn't come up with anything new, but again, what really is new? In an era of the internet where there is 500 news sites, all covering the exact same case, how many new and interesting takes could you actually possibly have on one happenstance? And again, for more entertainment content creators like myself, you're gonna have a harder time as you need to replicate the personality rather than necessarily the reporting on the case. But it too will happen. It's going to happen a lot later than the gaming journalists, mind you, which is why I'm smiling so very, very broadly right about now. Because again, all you need to do to get a gaming journalist site, well, like even something like this. This article says nothing new. It copies a bunch of tweets on it, like this guy said that guy said that, oh, it was meant to be kind of bad, it's had errors before, these people are angry, and the reason for it is because the companies want to save money. There is nothing particularly informative here. There is no real analysis of why this is going on. There is certainly no suggestions as to how it can be stopped. It is simply saying like, oh, we's very smart journalists and you can't possibly replace my work. Even though I just did so about, in 5 odd seconds or so. You can absolutely copy this with a script. In fact, you could probably, and the worst part is, well, if you take this title and just like copy it into Google, you will already find like 5 or 6 different sites that are basically taking it and then archiving it somewhere else or putting it into a, what's the word for it? One of those services that gathers up news across the internet and gives it all to you in a list. Like, I want to say conglomerate, but that's not the end. I have forgotten the English word because I am Norwegian. It happens to me on occasion. Anyways, you probably know what I'm talking about. AI will be the death of pretty much anything creative eventually. But it's going to be a long time before it gets to the actually creative stuff, but it's probably only going to be a couple years at most before it gets to, well, Kotaku writers. And I will be more than happy to oversee it. Until next time, have a good day, and I hope to see you all again soon.